So, with Mortal Kombat finally being added into Fortnite and Scorpion, Katana, and Raiden finally joining in, there's a few things I wanted to talk about. First up, despite the description saying resurrected for revenge and bound by honor, indicating that this should be Hanzo Hisashi, when you take off the mask, it's clearly Kuai Li Yang Scorpion from MK1. I know some people say it looks like John Turk just a little bit, but the hair and stance is very indicative that this is Mortal Kombat 1 Kuai Li Yang Scorpion, especially since John Turk's face is way more boxy. So when you put on the mask, you can just kind of headcanon that it is. And you can especially do that with the awesome, cool skull style, which I do believe that the skull shape is a bit bigger than the actual head, but that's fine. Just a minor nitpick. Doesn't necessarily matter. Either way, there's another thing I want to talk about with the mask. It more hints that it's based on MK1, given the fact that that's the UMK3 like mask, but it's MK1's rendition of it. Now, despite the fact that it doesn't use that weird ass vest underneath and uses a more traditional ninja outfit underneath, it makes me confused as to why they gave us MK1's rendition. Because this isn't an NRS Mortal Kombat game, they don't need to make the outfit look a little bit different to add more value into you repurchasing the exact same outfit in a different game. So they could have just given us a better representation of the MK3 mask. But I mean, it's whatever. What I'm more like annoyed about is that Sub-Zero's mask is entirely unique. It's not this mask. It should be this mask, or at least a better representation of it. But given that they chose to do MK1's representation with Scorpion, they should have done it with Sub-Zero. I don't know why. Maybe it's because Sub-Zero's in the like battle pass and Scorpion's in the item shop, so they wanted to make it not a complete reskin. But we'd have the mask off anyways, so it's a whole new face model, given that this is an entirely different character. So, kind of weird, especially since it'd be more faithful to properly transition them into just different colors because they were originally palette swaps. And the only way to make them completely different is just the face model. So it's kind of weird, especially since the like top of the head doesn't even have like the cat ears, quote unquote, that are only appeared in the concept art and MK4. So yeah, that's rather weird. That's enough of Scorpion though. Besides the fact that also the model is the exact same for like the body, but it's slightly altered in some weird way, which I don't know why Fortnite does that, because that's just more effort when they could just do what they should do and retexture the model. But like the cloth piece is smaller and shorter, and the end like shoulder parts of the costume just scrunch up a little bit more. When you do the T pose, you see it very clearly. Now moving on to Katana. Partially, I believe the reason why we don't have an MK1 style for Scorpion is because they'd have to make a whole entire different face model for Katana and Raiden. Because you could just put on the mask and boom, you have UMK3 Scorpion. But with Katana, when you put on the mask, it doesn't look like UMK3 Katana because she has her hair out, she has her face out. You can see more than just eyes and eyebrows. Because this, you can headcanon that this looks like Hanzo Hasashi because it does look good enough, but with her, you'd have to do a little bit more. And on top of that, for some reason, it has the weird Fortnite style of the wear and tear of the costume, which she's the only one that has it, because Raiden doesn't have it, and Scorpion and Sub-Zero don't have it, especially them, because I think Raiden actually has it a little bit. Yeah, just on his arm, but that could be just, the little wraparound pieces, but either way, it's fine if we didn't get MK1 styles for these two skins and just only for Scorpion, because it'd make a lot of sense because they already have the model for the MK1 outfit. They just had to slightly adjust it because, it looks different for Scorpion. So, yeah. More on Katana. It's the fact that they made her shorts blue and not black for whatever reason. The censorship is fair because this is a kids game and not an M-rated game, so They can't just have her whole ass butt hanging out, but either way, it's weird that it's not black because it makes it more obvious that they're shorts. So kind of defeats the purpose in a little bit of a way. It gets like the idea of the costume, I guess, because if it was pants, it would just completely ruin it in a little bit. Even though it looked better, it also kind of ruined the point that it's the UMK3 design. And Raid is based on MK2. That's not at all his MK1 face, which is the reboot, by the way, not the actual original Mortal Kombat. It might not be one to one because I feel like they'd have to get the likenesses of the actor and actress, which would probably be hell, given the fact that this game is old. But either way, they did a good representation of it. So there is that, and it's not the boring ass MK1 reboot version, which sucks, by the way. But yeah, he's fire. They should just make this one say MK2 in the parentheses and add a U for both of these guys, because I don't know if this guy appears in the MK trilogy at the very least, but he definitely does not appear in MK3 or in UMK3 even. These do. And Sub Zero, I guess they can keep MK3 because they want it to technically be Kuai Yang, which means we also have two Kuai Yangs because when you take off the mask from him, he's Kuai Yang underneath it. And when you put on the mask of Sub Zero, he is, Kuai Yang technically, even though he's Bihan underneath. So there's that. And also a little bit more things before I end off the video is that these are based on MK9, I believe. So that's also cool. Don't know why they chose MK9 for whatever reason, and instead not just like make the actual designs of the weapons that they have. Even though Scorpion doesn't have one, so they could have just given him like a kunai, which would be dope actually. But no, we instead get MK9. And also the fans look weird because they're not. One of them's not mirrored. I don't know how they should be mirrored, but you see the fans on both sides and the blades on both sides in either direction. So it's kind of ass. But that's about it for this video. Cool that we finally got them though.